3 billion people watched the sky change color that afternoon. What had been blue turned orange, then red, then black with smoke and fire. The Voldran Empire did not announce themselves with words. They announced themselves with death. Petra Romanenko was 58 years old when she became the most important person on Earth. She had spent 30 years in the military, fought in 2 small wars, and lost her husband to cancer. She thought she understood suffering. She thought she understood loss. She was wrong. The first Voldran ships appeared above Berlin, Mumbai, and Sao Paulo at exactly the same moment. They were enormous things, black and angular, like knives cutting through clouds. For 11 minutes, people simply stared upward. Some took photographs. Some prayed. Children pointed and asked their parents what those strange shapes were. Then the ships fired. Berlin vanished in white light. 14 million souls, gone in 3 seconds. Mumbai followed. Then Sao Paulo. The beams from the ships carved through buildings, through streets, through everything. They did not discriminate between hospitals and factories, between schools and military bases. They simply erased. Petra stood in the command center beneath the Swiss mountains and watched the screens. Each screen showed death. Each screen showed fire. Officers around her were crying. Some were screaming. One young man had fallen to his knees and was vomiting on the floor. She felt nothing. Later, she would understand this was shock. At that moment, she simply watched and calculated. "Get me every satellite feed," she said. Her voice was calm. "I want to see their ship formations. I want to know their numbers." Lieutenant Amos Reyes was 24 years old. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely operate his console. His mother lived in Sao Paulo. Had lived in Sao Paulo. "Admiral," he said, "we're receiving a transmission." The face that appeared on the main screen was tall and pale, with eyes like black stones. High Sovereign Droll of the Voldran Empire looked upon humanity for the first time and saw only insects. "Creatures of this world," he said. His voice was cold and ancient. "You have been selected for service to the Voldran Empire. Your resources belong to us. Your labor belongs to us. Your very existence is now a gift we may revoke at any moment. Surrender your leaders. Disable your weapons. Kneel, and some of you may survive." The transmission ended. For a long moment, no one in the command center spoke. The screens still showed burning cities. The death toll climbed past 50 million and kept rising. Petra looked at the black space where Droll's face had been. She thought of her husband, dead 3 years now. She thought of her daughter, a doctor working in Geneva. She thought of every human being on the planet, now marked for slavery or death by creatures who saw them as nothing. "Lieutenant Reyes," she said. "Yes, Admiral. Open a channel. All frequencies. I want every ship in their fleet to hear this. I want every species in this galaxy who is listening to hear this." Amos wiped his eyes. His hands had stopped shaking. Something cold and hard had settled into his chest, replacing the fear. He recognized it. It was the same thing he saw in the Admiral's eyes. "Channel opened, ma'am." Petra stepped forward. Behind her, the screens showed humanity's cities burning. Before her, somewhere in the cold darkness of space, alien conquerors waited for her species to break. She smiled. It was not a kind smile. "This message is for the Voldran Empire. This message is for High Sovereign Droll. This message is for every species watching from the darkness." She paused. When she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of 50 million dead. "You have made a terrible mistake. You came to our world without warning. You killed our people without mercy. You expected us to kneel. You expected us to break. You expected us to beg. You do not know us. We are humanity. We have survived ice ages and plagues. We have survived wars that killed hundreds of millions of our own kind. We have crawled from caves to reach the stars. We do not kneel. We do not break. We do not beg. You have started a war today. Remember that. Remember that you fired first. Remember that you killed first. Remember that we offered you no offense, no threat, no reason. Because when this war ends, and it will end, you will look back at this day and understand your mistake. You woke something today, something old, something patient, something that does not forgive. Run while you still can." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, dozens of species heard the message. Most laughed. The Voldran had conquered 400 star systems. What could one small planet do against such power? The Namath Collective did not laugh. Their ambassadors had studied Earth from afar. They had read human history. They had seen what these strange creatures did to each other in times of war. Ambassador Krill turned to his council with fear in his eyes. "The Valdren have no idea what they have done," he said quietly. "Those creatures are not prey. They are predators who learned to wear masks. And the Valdren just tore those masks away. On Earth, the fires still burned. The dead still lay in the ruins. But something had changed. In every nation, in every city, in every heart, the same cold fire was spreading. Humanity was done being afraid. Now it was their turn to make the galaxy tremble. 18 months of silence made the Valdren comfortable. 18 months of darkness made them forget. Ambassador Krill of the Namath Collective had not forgotten. While the Empire celebrated another easy conquest, while Valdren officers made jokes about the weak little planet that had threatened them, Krill requested permission to visit Earth. His council thought he was mad. Earth was a dead zone. No signals came from it. No ships left it. Surely the humans had retreated underground to hide and die slowly. What could possibly be worth seeing? Krill went anyway. His small diplomatic vessel approached Earth through empty space. The Valdren blockade had been removed months ago. Why waste ships watching a defeated world? The humans had no fleet, no weapons that could threaten the Empire. Let them rot in silence. The first thing Krill noticed was the moons. Earth had one natural moon. Now it had 7. 6 new objects hung in orbit, each one larger than any space station Krill had ever seen. They were not stations. They were shipyards. His pilot made a sound of pure terror. "Ambassador, I am detecting over 300 vessels in various stages of construction. Some of them are. Ambassador, some of them are larger than Valdren dreadnoughts." Krill said nothing. He simply stared. General Yuki Tanaka met him at the orbital dock. She was a small woman with gray hair and eyes that held no warmth. Behind her stood soldiers in armor that looked nothing like what Earth had possessed 18 months ago. "Ambassador Krill," she said, "we have been expecting you. You knew I was coming. We know everything that happens within 12 light years of our system now. Please, follow me. There is much to see." What Krill saw over the next 3 days changed him forever. He saw factories that stretched across entire continents, running every hour of every day. He saw millions of workers building weapons, building ships, building things he did not recognize. He saw children training in combat tactics. He saw old men and women learning to operate targeting systems. Every human being on Earth had one purpose now, one goal, one burning need. Dr. Samuel Okonkwo showed him the research facilities. The doctor was a thin man with kind eyes, but his work was anything but kind. "We captured debris from the Valdren attack ships," he explained. "Within 3 weeks, we understood their technology. Within 3 months, we improved it. This weapon here delivers 4 times the yield of their best ship-mounted guns." 3 months. Krill could not hide his shock. That is impossible. The Valdren have had thousands of years to develop their technology. Samuel smiled. It was a tired smile. "The Valdren have never faced extinction, Ambassador. They have never been pushed to the edge. Humans have. Many times. We know how to adapt when death is the only other option." Yuki took him to see the training grounds. Soldiers moved through obstacle courses that would kill most species. They fought in simulations that lasted days without rest. They practiced tactics that Krill had never seen before. "Your soldiers train without sleep?" he asked. "Humans can function for over 40 hours without rest if necessary," Yuki said. "In combat situations, our stress chemicals allow us to push even further. The Valdren do not know this. They will learn." On the final day, Krill stood before the memorial. 50 million names were carved into black stone. 50 million humans who had died in 3 cities. 50 million reasons for what was coming. "Why did you let me see all this?" he asked Yuki. "Surely you know I will report to my people." "We want you to report, Ambassador. We want the galaxy to know." "Know what?" Yuki turned to face him. In her eyes, Krill saw something ancient and terrifying. Something that had been sleeping in humanity for all their history, waiting for a reason to wake. "The Valdren think they destroyed us. They think we are hiding in fear. Let them keep thinking that. Let them grow comfortable and lazy. Let them forget about the little planet they attacked." She pointed at the shipyards visible through the window. 300 warships. More being built every day. "In 6 months, we will remind them. And then, Ambassador, You will see what happens when you corner a species that refuses to die. Krill returned to his people. He stood before the Namath Council and delivered his report. When he finished, the chamber was silent. "What do we do?" asked one elder. "Nothing," Krill said. "We stay far away from this war. We watch. We pray." Pray for what? Krill thought of the factories, the soldiers, the cold fire in every human eye. Pray that humanity remembers mercy when this is over. Because if they do not, the Valdrin will be only the first to fall. In the darkness of space, Earth continued its work. Silent, patient, waiting. The Valdrin had no idea what was coming, but they would learn soon. Governor Mellax was eating his evening meal when the sky above Thessar 4 turned white with ship drives. He choked on his food. His servants rushed to help him, but he pushed them away and ran to the window. What he saw made his blood turn cold. Ships. Human ships. 100 of them, appearing from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. They surrounded the colony world like a net closing around prey. "Impossible," Mellax whispered. "They have no fleet. They have nothing." The communications officer burst into his chamber. "Governor, we are receiving a transmission from the human vessels." "Put it through." Captain Diego Vargas appeared on screen. He was 42 years old with dark skin, dark eyes, and a face that showed no emotion at all. He had lost his wife and 2 children in Sao Paulo. He had spent 18 months preparing for this moment. "Governor Mellax of Thessar 4, Diego said. I am Captain Vargas of the human ship Vengeance. Your world is surrounded. Your defense platforms are outnumbered and outgunned. You have 1 hour to surrender your forces and release any prisoners held on this colony." Mellax felt his fear transform into anger. How dare these creatures threaten him? How dare they come to Valdrin space with demands? "You are insects," he spat. 100 ships mean nothing. I have already sent a distress signal. The Empire will crush you." Diego nodded slowly. "We know about your signal. We also know your nearest reinforcements are 16 hours away. Governor, I will not ask again. Surrender, and your people will live. Refuse, and we will demonstrate what happens to those who attack humanity. Go back to your dying world. Human, you do not frighten me." Diego's expression did not change. "Then I will teach you fear." The transmission ended. Sergeant Rosa Kamathi waited in the dropship with her squad. She was 35 years old with scars on her face from the Mumbai attack. She had crawled out of the ruins with burns covering half her body. She had watched her brother die in her arms. Now she was about to land on an alien world and show them what that felt like. "All units, this is Vengeance Actual." Diego's voice came through her helmet. "Operation begins in 30 seconds. Remember your training. Remember you're dead. Show them what we are." Rosa checked her weapon. Around her, 50 soldiers did the same. They were the first humans who would set foot on enemy soil. They were the beginning of the end for the Valdrin Empire. "For Earth," Rosa said. "For Earth," her soldiers repeated. The dropships launched. Governor Mellax watched in confusion as the human ships did not fire their main weapons. Instead, small craft descended toward the planet's surface. Landing parties? What could ground forces do against his orbital defenses? Then his defenses started failing. Human ships had released thousands of small drones. They swarmed the defense platforms, attaching to hulls and releasing electromagnetic pulses. One by one, the platforms went dark. "How?" Mellax screamed. "How are they doing this?" His officers had no answers. This was not how war was fought. The Valdrin used formation battles, direct engagements, overwhelming firepower. These humans were fighting like shadows, like ghosts, like nothing in Valdrin military history. To Rosa's boots hit alien soil for the first time. Her squad spread out in perfect formation, moving through the colony streets. Valdrin soldiers emerged to meet them. The battle lasted 11 minutes. Valdrin soldiers were trained for courage and direct combat. They stood their ground and fired at the approaching humans. They expected the humans to do the same. Instead, the humans vanished. They used buildings for cover. They appeared from unexpected angles. They coordinated without visible communication. When one Valdrin soldier fired at a human position, 3 other humans were already flanking him. Rosa killed 17 enemies herself. She felt nothing. She was a machine built for one purpose, and she fulfilled that purpose with terrible efficiency. By sunset, Thessar 4 had fallen. Governor Mellax knelt in chains before Captain Vargas. Around him, his officers and soldiers sat in defeat. Above them, human ships controlled the sky. You fought well, Diego told him. Your soldiers were brave. But bravery alone does not win wars. The Empire will avenge this, Mellax said. You have won one battle. We have 400 systems. I know. Diego activated a recording device, which is why I want you to send a message. Not to your empire. To everyone in this galaxy. What message? The truth. Diego turned to address the recording directly. This message is for the Valdran Empire and all species who serve them or watch them. Today, humanity has taken our first step into your territory. Thessar 4 fell in 6 hours. He paused. 18 months ago, you attacked our world without warning. You killed 50 million of our people. You expected us to die. Instead, we built this. He gestured at the ships above. 100 vessels. The first of many. We did not want this war. We did not start this war. But we will finish it. To all Valdran forces, run while you still can. We warned you. Now we are coming. The message spread across the galaxy at light speed. For the first time, species who had dismissed humanity began to pay attention. The insects had teeth, and they had just drawn blood. High Sovereign Droll had not slept in 37 days. His eyes were hollow. His hands trembled. On the screens before him, red markers showed the collapse of his Empire Point 12 fronts. The humans were attacking on 12 fronts simultaneously. This is against all military doctrine, his chief strategist said. No species can coordinate attacks across such distances. The logistics alone should be impossible. And yet, Droll replied quietly, they are doing it. Thessar 4 had been the beginning. In the 6 months since, humanity had taken 43 star systems. 43. The Valdran had spent 10,000 years building their empire. The humans were tearing it apart in weeks. Worse than the losses were the stories. Valdran soldiers who survived human attacks came back changed. They spoke of enemies who would not stay down. Soldiers who took wounds that should have killed them and kept fighting. Soldiers who smiled as they died, knowing their deaths bought time for others. They are not natural, one survivor had screamed. They feel no pain. They feel no fear. They are monsters wearing flesh. Admiral Romanenko led the main fleet. She was 60 years old now, gray and tired but burning with purpose. The weight of command had aged her, but it had not broken her. Nothing would break her until this was finished. Her tactical display showed 17 Valdran ships in retreat. They were running from a battle they had started, running from a species they had once dismissed as insects. Pursue and destroy? Her weapons officer asked. Petra shook her head. Let them go. Let them tell others what they saw here. Fear is a weapon too. In a transport ship fleeing the battle, young Valdran officer Thalvex sat among the survivors. He was 24 years old in Valdran terms, barely an adult. He had joined the military believing in the glory of empire, believing his species was superior, believing conquest was their divine right. Now he watched his comrades weeping. He smelled their fear. He felt his own certainty crumbling. We were wrong, he whispered to himself. We were so wrong. On the Valdran homeworld of Etheron, Droll made his decision. If conventional warfare could not stop the humans, he would use weapons that had not been deployed in 3,000 years. Activate the world killers, he ordered. His council stared at him in horror. Sovereign, those weapons are forbidden by ancient law. They destroy entire planets. The other species will condemn us. The other species already watch us losing. Better to be condemned than conquered. The world killers were deployed. 3 massive vessels, each carrying weapons that could crack a planet's core. They moved toward human-occupied territories with orders to leave nothing alive. Humanity's intelligence network detected them within hours. Admiral Romanenko studied the reports with cold calculation. Planet-killing weapons. The Valdran were escalating to extinction-level threats. Most species would panic. Most species would negotiate. Petra smiled her terrible smile. They think this will frighten us into surrender, she said. They still do not understand. Lieutenant Reyes, new orders for strike teams 7 through 12. Amos Reyes, now a commander, looked up from his station. He had served at Romanenko's side since the war began. He had learned to think like her. We are going to capture those ships, aren't we? We are going to capture those ships. The operation took 3 weeks. Human special forces, moving in small stealth vessels, approached the world killers during their travel. They used tactics the Valdren could not comprehend. Silent insertion, internal sabotage, crew elimination deck by deck. When the first world killer stopped responding to commands, Droll thought it was a malfunction. When the second went silent, he suspected sabotage. When the third began broadcasting human messages, he finally understood. This is Commander Reyes of the captured Valdren vessel, now designated HSS Justice. Amos transmitted to Valdren Command. Your weapons of genocide belong to us now. We have chosen not to use them against your worlds. Remember this mercy, because it is not endless. Thalvex heard the transmission in his quarters. Something broke inside him. Or perhaps something finally healed. He requested a private meeting with his commanding officer. When denied, he simply walked to the shuttle bay and launched himself toward the nearest human patrol point. 3 hours later, he sat before Admiral Romanenko and offered everything he knew. Fleet positions, defense codes, political weaknesses, the location of Drool's hidden bunkers. Why? Petra asked him. Why betray your own people? Thalvex looked at her with eyes full of shame. Because my people were wrong. We attacked you without cause. We killed millions who offered us no threat. I believed we were gods bringing order to lesser beings. But you have shown me the truth. What truth? We are not gods. We are not even warriors. We are bullies who never faced a real enemy. He lowered his head. Until now. Petra studied him for a long moment. Your information will save many lives, Valdren and human both. For that, you have my thanks. Across the galaxy, the balance had shifted beyond recovery. The hunters had become the hunted. The conquerors had become the conquered. And humanity was not finished yet. Etheron hung in space like a pale jewel. The Valdren homeworld, seat of their empire for 15,000 years. Home to 9 billion souls who had never known defeat. Today, they learned. Admiral Petra Romanenko stood on the bridge of the HSS Resolution and watched her fleet take position. 500 human warships formed a sphere around the planet. Every gun was trained on the surface. Every soldier was ready. She was 61 years old. She had given 3 years of her life to this moment. 3 years of war, of death, of choices that haunted her dreams. Now it would end, one way or another. Admiral, her communications officer said, we are receiving a transmission from the surface. It is High Sovereign Droll. Put him through. Droll appeared on screen. He looked nothing like the cold, proud ruler who had threatened Earth 3 years ago. His face was thin and pale. His eyes darted with madness. Behind him, alarms blared. Human Admiral, he said, his voice cracking. You have won. I admit this. But if you attack my world, I will activate the Void Protocol. Petra's expression did not change. Explain. Ancient weapons buried in the core of 12 planets, including this one. If I die, they trigger automatically. Etheron will be destroyed, along with every inhabited world within 50 light years. His mouth twisted into something like a smile. You may kill me, but you will kill billions of your allies as well. The Namath, the Corvin, every species that thought hiding from this war would save them. In the tactical room, officers exchanged looks of horror. 50 light years included dozens of populated systems. Trillions of lives. Lieutenant Priya Sharma was 28 years old. She had joined the military after watching the Mumbai footage as a teenager. She had fought on 7 worlds. She had killed more enemies than she could count, but she had also studied Valdren architecture, their engineering, their weaknesses. Admiral, she said quietly, I believe I can disable the Void Protocol. Petra turned to her. How? The control systems for ancient Valdren weapons always have a physical component, a failsafe that cannot be hacked remotely. If a small team can reach the central bunker beneath the capital city, we can shut it down manually. The entire Valdren army stands between us and that bunker. Priya nodded. I know, but if we do not try, Droll wins. Either we retreat, or we kill trillions. Neither option is acceptable. Petra studied her for a long moment. This young woman, willing to die for strangers, willing to sacrifice everything for people she had never met. This was what made humanity different. This was why they had won. Assemble your team, Petra said. You have 12 hours. The mission was suicide. Everyone knew it. Priya selected 50 volunteers from soldiers who knew they probably would not return. They loaded into dropships and descended toward a world that wanted them dead. The landing was chaos. Valdren forces threw everything at them. Artillery, ground troops, aircraft. Priya lost half her team in the first hour. She kept moving, through burning streets, through collapsed buildings, through enemies who fought with the desperation of the doomed. 20 soldiers became 15. 15 became 8. 8 became 4. Priya reached the bunker entrance with 3 people behind her. All of them were wounded. All of them were still fighting. The bunker door was sealed, built to survive nuclear strikes. Impossible to breach. Priya looked at her team. A young man named Carl. A woman named Adiz. A soldier named Wei who had lost an arm during the descent and refused to stop. There is enough explosive in our packs to blow this door, she said. But someone will need to stay and trigger it manually. They all understood. Someone would not be coming back. Wei stepped forward. My wife died in Berlin, he said simply. Let me do this. Priya wanted to argue. She wanted to find another way. But there was no other way. There never had been. She embraced him. We will remember. Make sure Drool remembers too. They retreated to minimum safe distance. The explosion tore the door apart, along with the soldier who gave his life to open it. Inside, the Void Protocol controls waited. Ancient machines humming with terrible power. Enough force to crack planets, waiting for one mad tyrant's command. Priya found the failsafe. A simple switch, physical and mechanical, just as she had predicted. She turned it off. Above, in orbit, Admiral Romanenko received the signal. The Void Protocol was disabled. Drool's leverage had vanished. She opened a channel to the planet's surface. Not to Drool, but to every Valdren citizen. People of Etheron, your leader threatened to destroy you all to save himself. We have removed that threat. Your world is safe, not because of your empire, but because humans gave their lives to protect you. She paused, letting the words sink in. We have the power to burn your world to glass. We have earned that right through blood and suffering. But we choose not to. We are not like you. We do not kill without cause. We do not destroy without reason. High Sovereign Drool will surrender himself within 1 hour, or we will come for him. The rest of you have nothing to fear from humanity. This war ends today. In his bunker, Drool screamed orders that no one followed. His officers were already removing their weapons, preparing to surrender. His guards had abandoned their posts. His empire had fallen, and he stood alone. When human soldiers found him, he was weeping in a corner, clutching a ceremonial blade he did not have the courage to use. Petra Romanenko watched them bring him aboard in chains. The creature who had killed 50 million humans. The tyrant who had ruled 400 worlds through fear that he looked small. He looked broken. He looked like nothing at all. Lock him in holding, she ordered. He will face trial for his crimes. The war was over. Now came the harder part. 5 years had passed since the fall of Etheron. 5 years since the Valdren Empire crumbled. 5 years since humanity proved to the galaxy what they truly were. Chancellor Amos Reyes stood before the Galactic Council and tried to remember the frightened lieutenant he had once been. That young man who watched cities burn. That boy who lost his mother in 3 seconds of alien fire. He was 32 now. Leader of the Human Alliance. Voice of a species that had earned its place among the stars through blood and mercy. Representatives of the Council, he said, we gather today to mark the 5th anniversary of the Treaty of Etheron. 5 years of peace. 5 years of rebuilding. 5 years of proving that former enemies can become partners. Around the chamber, delegates from 47 species listened. Many of them had once feared humanity. Some had expected the humans to build their own empire from the ashes of the Valdren. They had prepared for new masters. Instead, humanity surprised them all. The Valdren worlds were not conquered. They were freed. Human forces helped rebuild infrastructure, established food supplies, treated the wounded. When local governments formed, humanity stepped back. When former Valdren territories chose independence, humanity supported them. We did not fight a war to become emperors. Amos continued. We fought because we had no choice. Because our survival demanded it. But survival is not enough. We wanted to prove that strength and mercy can exist together. Ambassador Thalvex sat in the Valdren section. He had become the first of his people to serve humanity, and now he served as the bridge between former enemies. His species would carry shame for generations, but Thalvex believed they could also carry hope. Elder Krill of the Namath watched from the front row. He remembered his visit to Earth all those years ago. The factories, the soldiers, the cold fire in every human eye. He had predicted they would bring destruction. He had not predicted they would bring healing. The galaxy expected monsters, Krill said during his own speech. Instead, we found something far more dangerous. We found beings who could have become monsters and chose not to. That choice, more than any weapon, is what makes humanity terrifying and magnificent. On Earth, the memorial stood complete at last. 50 million names carved into black stone. 50 million lives remembered. The structure stretched for kilometers, a wall of the dead that reminded every visitor why the war had been fought. Admiral Petra Romanenko visited every year on the anniversary. She was 66 now, retired from active service. Her hair was white. Her hands shook slightly, but her eyes still held that cold fire, even if it had softened with time. Today she was not alone. Thalvex walked beside her, having made the journey from the council specifically for this moment. The Valdrin who had betrayed his people to save lives he did not know. The officer who had provided intelligence that shortened the war by months. They stopped before one section of the wall. Names from Sao Paulo. Amos Reyes had helped Petra find this spot. One name among millions. Maria Reyes, Petra read aloud. Amos's mother. I know, Thalvex said quietly. I read the records. She was a teacher. She died trying to evacuate her students. She saved 14 children before the beam took her. 14 children who grew up because of her choice. Thalvex was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he knelt before the wall. The gesture was Valdrin, ancient and formal, reserved for moments of deepest apology. I am sorry, he said, for what my people did, for the lives we stole, for the arrogance that led us here. Petra looked down at him. The enemy who had become an ally. The soldier who had helped end the war. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Rise, ambassador. The dead do not want your knees. They want your promise. What promise? That it will never happen again. That the lesson has been learned. Thalvex stood and met her eyes. I swear it. By my life and honor. Never again. That evening, a new message was broadcast across all frequencies. Every species heard it. Every world received it. Chancellor Reyes spoke with the full authority of humanity behind him. 8 years ago, the Valdrin Empire attacked our world without warning. They killed 50 million of our people. They expected us to kneel and die. We did neither. We warned them to run. They did not listen. They forced us to become warriors, and we became the greatest warriors the galaxy had ever seen. We broke their empire. We captured their weapons. We stood above their homeworld with enough power to make their sun weep fire. And we chose mercy. This is our message to the galaxy. Humanity does not seek war. We do not want conquest. We do not dream of empire. We want to explore. We want to learn. We want to meet new species and share in the wonders of the universe. But know this as well. If you attack us, we will not forgive. If you threaten our children, we will not forget. If you corner us, you will find that the gentle creatures you dismissed were only wearing masks. We showed the Valdrin what lies beneath those masks. We hope we never have to show anyone else. Run while you still can. Or better yet, stand beside us. Help us build something greater than any empire. Help us prove that the stars are big enough for all of us. Humanity is watching. Humanity is waiting. Humanity is ready. Choose wisely. The message ended. The galaxy listened. And somewhere among the stars, new alliances formed, new friendships began, and new hope took root. Humanity had earned its place. Not through conquest. Through something far harder. Through choosing to be better than those who hurt them. And the galaxy would never be the same.